Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the Los Angeles Clippers MyNBA series here on NBA 2K24, where today we're going to go through the trade deadline, find out who is on the move on the final day to make trades around the league before going into a game quickly against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more basketball content. Now, with the trade deadline today, it's a little interesting because a lot of the big moves have already happened. There's been a lot of trades around the league, a lot of ones that have shaken up the landscape. For instance, Klay Thompson being traded to the Kings for De'Aaron Fox was a big one. Gordon Hayward got shipped to Detroit. Trae Young was probably the biggest move so far of the year. He's been traded to Brooklyn, the worst team in the league, for basically nothing. We saw DeJounte Murray get traded to the Chicago Bulls, and we saw Bradley Beal get traded to the Denver Nuggets. Derrick Rose in Charlotte. Just a lot of big names around the NBA have been on the move. We sit 23 and 27, an interesting spot because it says we are rebuilding, but I don't know if I fully want to sell out this team just yet. I threw our three biggest names on the block just to see what would happen, and there was really no big, potential swings at them. So I think we're actually going to stay pat because of the way our contracts are, we can't really make any moves. There are three trades today. The first one, Mason Plumlee is going to Dallas to give them some big man help from the Jazz for a couple of picks in the second round. Bronny James got drafted by the Knicks in this past year's draft. I don't know if there's still some elaborate scheme to bring LeBron to New York, but Bronny James hasn't really played. He's played 4 minutes total this year in New York. So actually the flip side is going to happen. LeBron, yes, is probably going to orchestrate this trade to bring him to New York for a couple of picks and Felix Okpara. And that brings us to the biggest trade of the day. The Warriors are currently rebuilding at 25 and 26. But, mostly because Steph Curry is hurt, I don't think they're willing to sell the bag just yet. But they have a couple of interesting pieces, specifically Andrew Wiggins, who they have currently on the block. At 29 years old, the former #1 overall pick could be expendable for them, and that's what's going to happen. There's one team who's interested in Andrew Wiggins, and that is the New York Knicks. They sit 30 and 21, one of the contending teams in the East, and Coach Tibbs has some history with Wiggins in their time in Detroit. They are looking to buy. So New York is going to make a play for Andrew Wiggins. The thing is, they can't get him straight up. There's a lot of contracts to work around, so they need a third team. Enter the Chicago Bulls and DeMar DeRozan. If you've been following, the DeRozan has been a name to watch out for this year. The Bulls traded a lot to get the #1 pick this year. They've obviously been rebuilding, and DeMar DeRozan's time is over in Chicago. A huge 3-team trade is being pulled off. The biggest ones is Wiggins is being traded to New York, and DeMar DeRozan is being sent to Golden State. He's going back to sunny California. It gives the Warriors a team player alongside Curry for next season when he's healthy, and a lot of other picks. Obi Toppin's going to the Bulls, a couple of second-round picks, and a first-round pick is also going to Chicago for DeMar DeRozan, while the Warriors will be getting an unprotected first in 2029, and then also a couple of players like Dante DiVincenzo. The big trade is pulled off in a 3-team trade. It goes down. Here's a look at the 3 trades again. We obviously saw the big one, Plumlee and LeBron James' son, going back to LA for a couple of second-round picks. Let me know what you thought of the trades in the comments section. Who do you think won trade day in the NBA? So that'll bring us into our game of the day, which is a home matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves here in the Intuit Dome. Minnesota is the second-best team in the Western Conference behind the Oklahoma City Thunder, while we are trying to hang on to a potential play-in spot, as we are currently the 8th seed in the West. I like to see this team led by Harden, George, and Leonard playing a little bit better, but as there was no moves at the trade deadline to potentially help them out, we have a lot of money tied up between those 3, so we couldn't really take anybody on to help them out. So it's up to this squad to get us to the postseason, as we're here at midcourt in the Intuit Dome, where it'll be Ivica Zubac going up against Naz Reid for the tip-off. The Minnesota Timberwolves will be missing Anthony Edwards today. He is out with an injury for the rest of the year. So that's a big blow to the Timberwolves as they get to the end of the regular season into the postseason. But, right now, you got to win games regardless of who's playing or not, as the Clippers won the tip. And James Harden gets the day started with a missed 3-pointer. And that'll bring up Towns on the other end, who passes up to Jaden McDaniels, who blocks into Paul George. They call him for a blocking foul. It's a ticky-tacky first foul on PG-13. Timberwolves have been a very good team so far this season. They are coming off of a night where they played the previous night in a win on the road, so maybe a little bit of fatigue for this squad that is obviously missing one of their star players. We'll see if we can capitalize. As here's Shake Milton over to D'Anthony Melton, the former 76er, former teammates with James Harden, as he pulls it up at the end of the shot clock, and it's a miss. Rebounded by Kawhi Leonard. Passes up to Nashawn Highland, one of our surprising offenses players of this year. He's really stepped up as another scoring option to relieve some of the load off Leonard, Harden, and George. As here's James Harden again, getting the screen left side. Nice defense here. Creates a little bit of separation as he's coming off of a win on Wednesday against Detroit where he scored 17 points on pretty efficient shooting. He does miss that shot there, 0 for 2 on the night to start. As on the other end, over to Jaden McDaniels. Dishes inside to Towns, being guarded by Harden. This is the matchup that Minnesota would like, but good defense by the Beard forces the miss. Here come the Clippers on the other end, over to Kawhi Leonard, who's seen his numbers dip a lot this season, now underneath 20 points per game. As speaking of Nashawn Highland, he had 24 points in the win against the Detroit Pistons the previous night, and there's the first bucket of the night. It's a alley-oop to Ivica Zubac, who throws it down. Zubac was a name that a lot of people were watching at the trade deadline to see if he'd be moved, but instead he's staying here in Los Angeles as we do commit to one more playoff push. And they want to see what's next for this core, because all three of our big three are free agents after the end of this year, and if this doesn't work out, not only could they all leave, but they could all leave for getting nothing in return as they tried another alley-oop for Zubac that's off the mark. Also, there will be a new rebranding for the Clippers next season. We know they will be introducing some new logos as there is a one-hand slam for Jaden McDaniels on the other end. McDaniels, a very athletic young player who just has to stay healthy and just develop more of a shot in his game. There's a miss from Harden, who starts 0 for 3 on the night. On the other end, here's D'Anthony Melton running into the Beard. He gives it up at the top of the key to Shake. Now over to McDaniels, back to Shake Milton. Playing a little bit back and forth. He's now 6 seconds on the shot clock. McDaniels has it. Gives it up to Towns at the top of the key. He's going to have to hack something up at the three-point line. That's no good. Rebounded by the Clippers. Harden quickly pushing the pace. He's going to try to get inside. Gets to the basket. He will miss, but he'll draw a foul from D'Anthony Melton. The Beard will go to the line for 2. Averaging 22.9 points per game this season. Free throw percentage at 88% as he makes both of his free throws there to tie us up at 4 apiece. Timberwolves trying to lock in towards the end of this year. I mean, this is the home stretch for a lot of these squads. And the Timberwolves, the second best team in the Western Conference, only behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. Want to see how their end of the year plays out. They did not make any moves at the deadline, especially with Anthony Edwards being out. You would have thought maybe Minnesota would have added a piece, but they've been relatively quiet this season. Here's Leonard being guarded by Anthony Towns. That's a matchup to watch tonight. He tries to drive right side on Cat and gets to the rim and finishes. Great play by the Claw to finish with the left hand away from the defender. And that gives LAC the lead once more, 6-4. Here's on the other end, Milton over a pick and pop to Towns for 3, and that's off the mark. Good defense again, but this ball's tipped out right into the hands of Karl-Anthony Towns. So a second chance opportunity here for Minnesota. 7 seconds now on the shot clock. Milton with it left side, going to get a screen. Doesn't work. 1 second to go. Throws something up, and it's off the mark. Good defense by Highland, who collects the rebound. Up to Harden, who quickly fires a 3, and that's no good. That's not a good shot attempt for the Beard. He's yet to get any of his to fall tonight. His only points being at the free throw line. Milton at the top of the key. 6-4 your score. A little bit slow start offensively for both of these two squads. As he'll go left side. Milton, a very good three-point shooter, instead gives it up, and that's going to be tipped around. Nice hands by Leonard to get those in the passing lane. On the other end, finding a cutting Harden at the basket, and again, too strong. 0 for 5 start for James Harden from the field. And the Beard can't seem to get it going here. Naz Reid for 3 off the pick and pop, and it's good. And that gives the Timberwolves a lead, 7-6, their first of the young night. Off of the three-pointer from the big man, Naz Reid. George gets a screen left side, driving to the hoop, throws up an alley-oop for Zubats, and he can't collect it. He had a clear path, but fortunately could not grab the basketball. He's on the other end. Nice pass inside for Melton. He'll get fouled, and we'll go to the end of the first quarter while the Clippers rebound and regain the lead, 24-19 after the first frame of basketball. As we'll go into the second quarter now, 8:31 to play, a 3-point lead here for the Clippers. As on the floor for them is Highland, Boston Jr., George, Love, and Ivica Zubats. As here's Highland with it, going isolation. Nice moves, right hand floater, and it's up and in. Bones Highland showing the nice handles there. Like I said, he's really stepped up offensively this season to be the option, especially with Russell Westbrook leaving last offseason in free agency to Toronto. Highland has emerged as that starting point guard. He does a good job offensively as a microwave scorer. I'd just like to see him step it up a little bit defensively, but with this small build, I don't know if that'll ever happen. 3 seconds here to go on the shot clock as D'Anthony Melton has just dribbled it out. Has to take up a 3, and it's no good. Rebounded here by the Clippers. As Highland quickly up the court, gets a screen attempt, creates a little bit of space, and that gets a wide open lane to the basket. Nice finish. Good move there by Highland. We talk about a small frame, and on the defensive side, on that side, on offense, it allows him to find the path to the basket. 35-28 now your score. 7-point lead here for the home squad. As Towns takes a 3-pointer off the pick and pop, and it's no good. Rebounded by Zubats. Quickly pushing the pace up the court is Los Angeles. As Highland's going to take it right to Towns. I don't know if that's a good idea. And he will miss it because of it. Towns will take up the court himself. Now over to Noel. He's looking, trying to get it inside to Towns. You can see Love just completely playing off of him, and he tips that one out of bounds. And we'll go to the end of the half now, where the Clippers have a 49-46 lead after the first half of basketball. Who will win this game in the Intuit Dome? Well, to find out right after this. Clippers playing very well against one of the top teams in the West. These are the games you want to win if you are to make your run at the playoffs and potentially even miss out on the play-in game. As Shake Milton leads all scorers tonight with 16 points, while it's the Claw Kawhi Leonard leading the Clippers with 13. As we begin the second half of play here, Minnesota does start off with the basketball. As Towns having not the most efficient game offensively tonight. Leonard's done a very good job of shutting down the former #1 overall pick out of Kentucky. As Milton, though, gives him inside on the low block. Towns fadeaway shot, that connects. That's the shot you need to hit. Karl Anthony Towns only had 6 points in the first half. He's now got his first 2 of the second. 49-48 your score. James Harden with it at the top of the key. Clippers rocking their city unis here tonight in the Intuit Dome. As here's a screen. George trying to drive to the basket. He slams it down with 2 hands. PG-13, one of the best at finding the path to the basket and finishing. Uses 2 hands for safety. He gets those 2 points right back here for the Clippers. Now back up to a 3-point game, but McDaniels, not to be outdone, gets right by George to the basket. That's what I'm talking about. Jay McDaniels has such a quick first step. Attacks to his right, however, not the best from the free throw line. He's missed already a couple tonight. He adds on to his total there and goes 0 for 2 from the charity stripe. Keeps it a 3-point game as now George on the other end gets right back to the basket, but this time gets swatted. And Jaden McDaniels has been all over the place these past couple of seconds for the good and the bad. Ball will stay down here with the Clippers. As inbound pass, Highland's just going to catch and shoot. He's going to knock it down. Bones Highland from deep. 6-point lead here in favor of the Clippers. They double the lead. And on the other end, Shake Milton with it. Gets a screen from Reed. Highland stays with them. Dribbles right into Leonard. Now he's going to have to try to cut back. A lot of dribbling here. Finally gives it up to Melton. Former Sixer now is going to take a long 2 as gets some sag off from Highland, and he misses. Highland will also grab the rebound. Met by Melton at the top of the court. He's just going to pull it back a little bit, maybe reset this offense. And Zubats now has it. Dribbling to his right, one of the slowest players in the league. He moves like he's in quicksand. Hands it off for Leonard. He takes a long 2, and it's a little too strong. Rebounded by Minnesota, but Melton loses it right to George. I don't think he saw him behind him. And then that cuts Harden at the basket. A great vision play by BG13 to find a cutting Harden. And, well, Paul George just made those 2 points. Now an 8-point lead in favor of the Clippers. They've come out swinging in the second half, while Minnesota, outside of the first shot from Cat, have been relatively quiet. McDaniels now with it, gets a nice screen, pulls up, that's going to help. 2 points there. He hit that one from the free throw line, just couldn't do those when they were free. Bones gets a screen now from Zubac's right side. Drives, has some space, floats to the basket, and a great kiss off the glass. Nobody helped out with Highland, who's now got 13 points on the night. And great body control in the air to get by the defender and finish at the basket for 2. Here's Towns on the low block, trying to work on Leonard. Good defense from the claw, and that's a miss. Stays with them, and now Paul George pushing it up the other end. Pulls it back, cuts inside, uses his body, and gets away from the defender. That's the body control I'm talking about. Leans in with the left shoulder, finishes with the right hand. And Paul George has pushed this one out to a 10-point lead in favor of the Clippers, as it's been all LAC since the intermission. Now with it. A lot of traffic at the top of the key. Highland's done a very good job of not allowing him to take the 3-ball. That's his shot. He's played good defense. And speaking of shots, that's a great fadeaway by Naz Reid off of Zubats to collect 2. Makes it a single-digit lead again. 60-52 now the score. As Highland off the screen is going to pull from 3, and he's going to hit. Bones Highland starting to heat up from deep. Now an 11-point lead here for the Clippers. That's now 18 points on the 9 for the point guard. Coming up on 8 minutes left to play here in the third quarter. Again, Highland, nice job getting through the screen of Reed. It's just sticking with Shake Milton, not allowing them to take the top off of the offense. As he drives, though, this time by on Highland, dishes inside, out now to Melton for 3, and he's going to miss. That's the best look of the night, it seems like Minnesota's got from deep, and they can't capitalize. George just going to try to bully his way inside. That doesn't work out. Finds Harden for 3, though, and he's a little bit off. And James Harden's cold shooting night continues. He's made a couple of shots here and there, but hasn't made any from deep. Melton inside. Here's Milton trying to finish the basket. Can't get it to go. Great defense by Zubats. Forces the miss. Then again, the Clippers pushing the pace. Highland stops. I think he thought about the 3 for a second. Instead, just going to hand it off for George. He has Reed on it. This is a speed advantage for Paul George, and he's going to finish at the rim with the right. Slow down for George as he powers it home, and the Clippers now lead by 15 after 3 quarters of play, 77-62. And we're just going to cut right to the end of this one. It has been all LAC. Minnesota does make it respectable as they bring it back to 7 points, but the Clippers hold on and win this game 100-93 at home. A big win against the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Intuit Dome. These are the kind of wins late in the season, in the second half, you'd like to add to your total as he gets closer and closer to playoff crunch time. Overall, solid performance from this team. Defensively, I was very impressed. They did a very good job against Minnesota in keeping them to just 93 points, and they went some extended periods without scoring a basket. George did lead the way with 24, but I think I was more impressed from Bones Highland, who went 8 for 11 and did not miss a shot from 3, going 2 for 2. Towns had probably the quietest 27 points of his career. Milton also did add 18, but only shot 3 of 10 from 3 points. So good job by Highland. Yes, Minnesota is missing one of their best players, and they did play the night before, but a win's a win. Speaking of Paul George, he did not get traded, and he's a free agent. But Paul George has stated that he wants to stay here in Los Angeles. No secret that he loves LA, and he's willing to sign a contract extension with the Clippers. Not only an extension, but an extension with a big discount. 3 years, only about 26 to 31 million cap hit a season. So we're going to accept. We're going to offer him that contract, and he will happily accept. So Paul George is going to stay here in Los Angeles, and he's going to take for a pay cut, which could help us out next year in adding a piece in free agency if we do want to keep this core. So that's a great selfless play by Paul George. We then beat the Trailblazers 107-98 on the road as after signing his extension, he leads the team with 23 points. Here are your players of the week. Trae Young, in his first time as a Brooklyn Net, gets the award, while Ja Morant wins it in the West. I'm assuming he was doing a good job shooting out there in Memphis. We then beat the Golden State Warriors with DeMar DeRozan, who had a double-double, 18 points, 11 assists. But we win this one 102-91. Again, George leading the way. But then the next night, we do drop to the Timberwolves, so a little bit of a role reversal. Back-to-back nights for us, and we can't meet Minnesota 117-104. to 109. Also in that game, I didn't get a little notification for it, but Zubats broke his left leg, so he's going to be out the rest of the regular season. So that's kind of stinks. That brings us to the All-Star break. I accidentally simmed through the All-Star break. I hit sim season and couldn't cancel in time, but with us reaching the break, we're going to do our recap of what's been going on with the Clippers. They sit 26 and 28. Take a look at the standings around the league as we get into playoff push time. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more basketball content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.